With all the complaints I see about the Ahsoka series, the one thing that I've been seeing a little bit over and over again is the idea that this show should be animated rather than live action. Because, well, the majority of the source material that the show is basing itself off of, well, one is a continuation of Rebels, which is an animated show, but also the continuation of the animated stuff. So it is a bit weird seeing a live action in that regard for some people. But there's a reason why it's live action. And I feel like it's because it's part of the Mandalorian verse that this particular story is very important. Not only because of Thrawn, his introduction as probably the new main villain of this saga for this time period in Star Wars. So putting him in a live action show first, introducing him, showing where he's been, even if you, like, for most people, they don't know Thrawn. They don't know him. So, this is their first introduction to the character. And so, having Thrawn appear, let's say, in Dave Filoni movie as the first time people are seeing him will be weird. So I feel like that's why this show is in live action. Yes, this show could be in animated form. This could be Season 5 to Rebels on Disney+. You know, it could be like that, but it wasn't. And I feel like that was done deliberately to give audiences, the live action community, that this story is being told in live action because it's to tell the main audience, so the general audience mainly watches these shows. And so for most people who are going to watch this is really the most important show to come out of the Mandalorian verse. There's so much important stuff happening in this show. Even though it doesn't feel like it, there is. And I feel like it is important if you've seen Rebels and Clone Wars. I feel like you've seen those shows, which is kind of like a letdown because, like, this show should stand on its own two legs. And I feel like that is the main criticism of this show. Now, I'm not going to get into the actual show itself, like actually reviewing it. I'm saving it for another video. Don't worry about that, but I'm just going to talk about should this show be live action or animated, because, you know, I think it should be live action for that reason alone, that this is telling a story that you need to see. Because I keep saying this in my videos when I talk about this subject, but animation has a stigma of being for children, even though it's not all of it is, because, you know, there are adult animated shows, but for most family-friendly shows, like the animated shows are for, like, Rebels, Clone Wars, that's family-friendly. So that's considered, like, kid content for a lot of adults. But I think another reason why this isn't live action is just if you don't want to watch that stuff, you don't have to. You want to start brand new, you know, for most people, they watch Mandalorian already, so it's like, we already know the, you know, State of the Galaxy with New Republic and all that type of stuff. So a lot that is introduced in this show kind of fits into the Mandalorian stuff a little bit as a spin-off. And that's sort of how the show is advertised, as a spin-off to the Mandalorian and a spin-off to the live-action Mandalorian verse, rather than a third part or a Season 5 of Rebels. You know, like, they're trying to advertise this show as kind of a bigger event than it already is, and rather than epilogue to Rebels. Because this could have just been animated. I can see 8 episodes, maybe even more, splitting them up. You know, having the original voice actors from Rebels come in to do the roles, I think will be a lot better, because another thing that you get to here is that a lot of the actors don't feel like they're characters. And I'm not here to, you know, say they're bad, because they're not bad. And I'm not here criticizing the show just yet. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a video where I review the show for my ranking series. I'm going to do that, but a little teaser for that is that I don't like how the actors really act. And that's not the actor's fault. Never blame an actor for the way they're acting. A bad performance is not the actor's fault, it's the director's fault. Or in this case, Dave Filoni's fault, because he's the one that's controlling everything. Look, I know he's someone that really likes George Lucas and his work. He wants to honor his work, but goes to a point where you cannot replicate what he did. The prequel trilogy is his own thing. You cannot replicate that. As much as people want to replicate it, they want Disney to replicate it, it can't. The people that were making these films are never going to come back together again. No matter what you do, the magic that happened, whether it be better or for worse, however you want to see it, the prequel trilogy is just the way it is. You can't, no matter if you get George Lucas back, no matter if you get all the producers and writers and acting, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you get all the people or not from behind the scenes, it doesn't matter, because you cannot recreate that again. And I feel like Dave Filoni is trying to recreate that magic from that trilogy to the show, which it doesn't work, because he's not George Lucas. He doesn't have that touch. And even like I said, I know there are people that really like the show, but because there are people, like I said, who want the show to be animated because they think that it would be better, and yeah, it could work. But I'm saying the point of the show, because even though there are a lot of benefits, like I said, with the voice actors coming back, the original voice actors, it'll be way better because a lot of the emotional beats in Ahsoka don't work because it's not the voice actors we've been listening to for years. Well, in my case, like a year or so, but for other people who have been watching the show since 2014, when Rebels began, they've been, watching these versions of the character for 4 years. And so seeing them being played by different people, a lot of the emotional beats don't really work. Yeah, it's cool to see these characters interact with one another, but it doesn't work because these aren't my actors, these aren't the voice actors that I watched in Rebels. You know what I mean? Because I did rewatch the Clone Wars and Rebels before watching Ahsoka. There is a drastic contrast, and I feel like it's because the actors are not used to their characters. But it's also the weird direction. It's a lot of factors. And I think we have to wait until the actual show is completed to see what Dave Filoni is trying to do with these characters. And I feel like a rewatch is needed to really understand what the hell, all the weird directions that Dave Filoni's given to make the show the way it is. Because if it was animated, it would be similar vein to like the Bad Batch, Tales of the that type of stuff. It would be, which would be cool. But I feel like the main reason why it's in live action, like I said, is because it's to introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn as a new main villain, and putting it in an animated show wouldn't get that many people to watch. What I mean is the general audience to watch, as the larger audience wouldn't know if it was an animated one. Because live action, though, a lot of people are going to watch it. It's going to get more mainstream attention, which is going to be a really good thing, because it's going to set up, Grand Admiral Thrawn's return, probably the end of the series, last 3 episodes, and he's going to, since he introduced him already, having him show up in another show or the Dave Filoni movie wouldn't be too jarring for the mainstream audience, which is a good tactic. But that is going to be it for this video. I know I did go on a tangent, but I'm just here exploring both sides of the argument, because there are people that do want this to be animated, like an epilogue, but there are people that say no, it should be live action. And all I have to say is we just have to wait and see until the end of this series. If you guys enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe, because I'm going to go now, so goodbye everyone.